Okay guys, how you doing? I just wanted to send a video to quickly talk about the Instagram question that I put out the other day, which was, are you going to do something differently post-quarantine compared to what you were doing pre-quarantine, right? With all this extra time of reflection and looking back and thinking about how you used to do things and how you want to do things in the future, what's something that you want to do differently? And by far the most common response that I got was not take things for granted. I don't want to take this relationship for granted, this time for granted, this whatever the situation may be. It was simply, I don't want to take it for granted. That was the most common response. And so I started thinking about how do we do that and that sort of a thing, because my fear or my honest thought, guys, is that a month back after things get normal again, and we're going to be right back into normal habits, we're going to probably just forget about quarantine and live life totally normal again. And so if that's you, that you said, hey, I think I want to live life a little bit differently post-quarantine, and especially in the context of not taking things for granted, I just want to challenge you, what systems or strategies do you have in order to make that happen? Because the reality is, change doesn't happen by accident. You have to actually be intentional about it. And so what systems or strategies do you have to try and live life like that? So I've been thinking about this, and I've been asking a few different people for feedback, and came up with 3 different systems or strategies to help you be more present. Because I think being present, right, being in the moment, is probably the opposite of taking it for granted, right? If you can be in the moment, if you can be present, I think being present means being purposeful and intentional no matter where you are in whatever situation you're in, right? And so I came up with 3 systems or 3 strategies, just kind of my thoughts on different ways that you can be more intentional and present in your life, okay? Number 1 is this: schedule. And for a lot of people out there, when they hear the word schedule, they get frantic, they get stressed out, and they feel like scheduling is a way of like imprisonment, and it traps them. I look at scheduling actually the opposite. I find that when I schedule things, I'm much more free. Because when I schedule something in a specific time slot, whatever it is, I'm free to operate with that purpose for that reason in that time slot. And so my advice would be, schedule the things that are most important to you in your week. So get a calendar, whatever it is, whether it's an app, whether it's a physical calendar, and schedule the things that are most important to you, right? If you think family is the number 1 most important thing to you, then schedule when you're going to have family time so that you know that that is an uncompromisable part of your schedule. If you, like me, are a person of faith and you believe that your time with God by prayer and by reading the Bible is the most important part of your day, then schedule when and where that's going to happen. For a lot of you, it was hanging out with friends. Like, a lot of people kind of make fun of me when they see that I literally plug into my calendar date night with the wife or hang out with family. But that's simply because I want to be intentional with the time that I have. I'm setting time apart for the things that are most important to me, to get things done and to be intentional and purposeful with that time. So number 1 is that. Number 1 is schedule. Number 2 is eliminate distractions. By far the number 1 thing is this guy right here, right? That's your phone. Eliminate distractions. So think about your job, for example. Yes, you do need to be present in your job. Depending on what job you have, let's say you're working at home or you're working at an office, how often are you checking your phone? And how is that taking from your productivity? Try something like this. Get a watch, put 60 minutes on the clock, work for that 60 minutes without any distractions. So you put your phone away, you don't look at it. Once that 60 minutes is over, go ahead and check your phone, do whatever you gotta do, get your messages on, and for 10 minutes. Once that 10 minutes is over, go back for another hour. If you don't like this 60-minute and 10-minute time splits, then go for a 30-minute and a 5-minute or something like that. Find what works for you and be intentional with eliminating distractions so that you can be present where you're at. And this is especially true for your friendships and your relationships. If you're out and you're with somebody and you're checking your phone every 2 minutes, you're sending messages to that person that you're with that whatever's in your phone is more important than being present with them there. The last one, which we've already been talking about a fair bit here, is to simply be intentional with your relationships. And so how do we do that? Well, there's a few different ways that we can do that. Number one, don't be afraid to be real and vulnerable and ask really good questions. Don't be that person who never gets deep with anyone. I was that person for a long time, and it honestly resulted with never getting real, true, good connection with people. So don't be afraid to get real, get honest, get vulnerable with someone, and then get good at asking good questions. Don't just be the person that talks about sports and weather all the time. And like, use wisdom, and there's got to be a place for small talk. There's got to be a place for joking around and having fun. That's not what I'm saying. Those things are important. What I am saying is try to be a little bit more intentional with getting to know someone on a deeper level. Ask them, hey, what's your story? I never heard about your story before. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? What are your beliefs? What are your core values? What do you believe in, and why do you believe in it? These are conversations that I think need to happen a little bit more often. And so I just challenge you guys to have those conversations, which is just simply being more intentional and purposeful and showing that you care, right? I mean, that's if you genuinely care about someone, then you should be motivated to ask them more deeper questions to get to know them better, and then just to be real, honest, and authentic as who you are as well, right? A simple way that you could do that, something that I think would be a fun exercise, get a list of people, and there's going to be your coffee chat list. It's going to be 2 people, 5 people, 10 people, 20 people. I don't care how many people it is, even if it's just, maybe 3 different people on the list. And 1 week at a time, you're going to message that person to ask them for a coffee chat. Hey, let's go out for coffee. I just want to get to know you a little bit better. I just want to connect and see how you're doing. Hey, I knew that you were struggling with this before. Tell me about that. How's it going? And so week by week, you're just going to be knocking people off your list, and that's going to be a simple way to be a little bit more intentional. And it's a good system to make sure you're being intentional with those friends, right? Yeah, those are just a few thoughts that I had. I'm sure that there's other things out there, and so if you have any other ideas or plans that you use to be more intentional or to be present in whatever situation you're in, or just to not take something for granted, I'd love to hear that. So comment or DM me. I'd love to continue this conversation. But that's all that I got. So take care. Have a good one.